Uh-oh, it's happening again.
Let's make sure
this time it's not my issues, it's Jerry's issues.
Look how close up I am.
Excuse me.
Oh, man.
Why was that funny?
Bless you.
That's like live on air, Jerry.
I know, that was on air. And your video was delayed, so I had no idea what happened. I just heard a yell. I heard a scream.
Is my video delayed even now?
What's
going on here?
Very poorly now, yeah.
Oh, for
Jerry, give you all this time.
I'm just glad it's not me.
Yeah, I know. We had all this time. Oh no, my Siri just started a timer. Hey Siri, stop.
This is going great.
You're saying Jerry, it's thinking you're saying Siri. Yeah, I'm definitely delayed. Why don't you guys start and I'll join you?
Okay.
Can you do an opening though? Because it's a public show.
Yep.
All right.
Welcome to another episode of Command Control Power. We are coming to you live at the very end of July as we record, and it's very hot here on the I guess I'm in the Midwest in Colorado. Sam, how is it for you back east?
Yeah, it's muggy. It's not as bad as it was last week, but it's definitely muggy out there.
It's been rough all across the board, But yeah, here we are once again. I mention it because I have trouble thinking. I don't have AC here, so when I'm like hot for a few hours during the day, and it's the middle part of the day that's the tough part. It just kind of messes me up. I get tired and I just can't think straight. I've noticed. So
yeah, well, without AC, man, it definitely can drain you. You got a fan or something, bro?
Yeah, we got fans. We got fans, but it's we can mitigate some of that.
Oh, it looks like
but Jerry is rejoining us. I'll bring up one of the topics I wanted to discuss. Am I delayed now, by the way?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was me, but
yeah, because it's looking like that for me. I don't really know what the heck's going on here.
I'm the only one that's
sitting
pretty. I'll do the show by myself.
Yeah, please do. I don't know where I am right now because my whole machine is like completely dragging now. I don't know. We might have to get a new platform here. StreamYard's giving us issues of late.
Yeah, well, first Jerry fell off the map, and now you.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll see if I can dive into a topic here, unless you want to start to carry us a little bit, Sam. What do you think?
Sure, yeah, I don't. Well, I had some questions for you guys. I was hoping for Jerry on this too, but I've had some questions/concerns with Zoom, and I wanted you guys. Do you guys have any clients that use Zoom phones?
Not Zoom phones, no, not that I know of.
All right. Well, I wonder if Jerry does, because I know you guys use RingCentral, both of you, right?
Yes, I use RingCentral. I know Jerry does too.
We use Zoom, and I mean it's fine. It works great, but like Zoom recently, and I'm not sure if I wanted to find out if other carriers are doing this too, but Zoom a few months ago at this point had a mention of what was called the SMS campaigns. And I'm not sure if this came out with RingCentral, but basically you had to show that you had an appropriate privacy policy for your SMS campaign. You had to make sure that.
Oh yeah, I encountered this. Yep.
You did.
Sure.
So we had this whole big thing with one of our clients where they said we had to do all this stuff. So we got the privacy policy set up on their website. That was looking good. We got any other details about setting up the campaign. That was looking fine. And then we resubmitted to Zoom for an SMS campaign, and they rejected us. And so I emailed them back. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, I answered every bullet point. I'm like, can you tell me why we're being rejected for this SMS campaign? And they said, well, we're looking into it. And then they asked me about 3 different or 4 different bullet points. I'm like, I answered each one. I'm like, we've done this already. So like, okay, resubmit. So I resubmitted and got rejected again. And then they finally came back to me and said, we believe your submission was rejected incorrectly. We're now escalating your issue. So I don't know what to do. The clients can't use, well, it's not like they use it heavily, but they can't use SMS with Zoom because they keep throwing it back to us. And now they realize the problem's on their side.
Wow.
It's aggravating.
Yeah, it is super aggravating. I walked down that road, and I don't know if I needed to. So I kind of feel like I got a little bit tricked into like signing up for that, and like filing that, because I don't send, I think the intention of that is to, like if you're sending mass text messages, to groups of people, like advertising your services or that kind of thing, that's what it's intended for. But all I really want to do, and I've been asking about this in the chat, and I think I have a couple possible solutions, but I just need like shared SMS and my company number, which you'd think that RingCentral would provide, and but they don't, and they've had it as a what they call an idea in their feature request list. It's like, yeah, and it's like there's dozens and dozens of people over the years on various threads in different systems in RingCentral requesting this feature, which is obviously very obvious, and yet they call it an idea to provide, the ability for like multiple people in the company to have access. Like I don't want everybody necessarily to have access, but just to give me the ability to just share it with, X, Y, and Z extensions. So I thought that this thing that you're describing would somehow unlock this because it was posted in like one of these threads at some point. I don't know, Jared, did you have to sign up for this? What did you call it, Sam? Like SMS?
Yeah.
Bulk?
SMS campaign is what Zoom called it. Did you
Okay.
see that for RingCentral, Jerry, where you had to like submit some data for your SMS campaign?
I did, and I just ignored it, and they ended up paying me, or I have to pay them after I go over some sort of allocation of data. I've hit some sort of an SMS cap, and then they charge me $25, and rather than screw with it, I just pay it and move on.
So this was, Joe was likening it to people that use SMS en masse, but this, I drilled in with Zoom a little bit more about this, and they said even if you communicate or reply to someone that sends you a text message on your Zoom phone, you still need this SMS campaign. I'm like, this is dumb. Like, it's just, first of all, we use it mostly for like a two-step verification at times, not at my company, my client's company. And any other times, it's the rare occasion that one of their people sends them a text message to their Zoom phone instead of their cell phone. And for all this, we have to have this BS SMS campaign. And you weren't on just yet, Jerry, but it was like rejected by Zoom multiple times, and they can't figure out.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just really annoyed at them, basically. And at the same time, this client is actually unhappy with Zoom as in general. So now I'm not sure if they're even going to stick with them. We have another local company that we work with for voice over IP services. So we might just recommend them and just say the hell with Zoom.
Yeah. I mean, the unfortunate part is that they're all resellers, and they're just buying time off of some sort of a backbone. And I just don't know of any that are ultimately that reliable. I've been pretty happy with RingCentral. I know I don't have too much of a use case with multiple people, but I know that Joe struggles with it, and he pays a lot of money for their services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The issue, the issue is when you have like one or more, when you have more than two people, let's say, or more than one person. What am I saying? Obviously, then you need to be able to share that if you can. So, that's the issue that I've been having. And Sam, did you say you have another company that you've considered for the same? For SMS in particular, or
Well, no, just for voice over IP services. Like this client, they use Zoom anyway for their stuff, so it was a natural progression for them to use them for their phones. But we have a local company in, it's New York, Connecticut, that works with a number of different clients that we have for VoIP services. So we're just going to think, let's just kick it to them and see if we can get rid of Zoom for this crap.
There's some terminology that where you can take over. Like you can move just SMS and not move the actual phone service. Do you guys know about that?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's it's a little different. So I think oh man, I wish I had the terminology in front of me, but there's some, basically it's like you can assign a provider for SMS without without actually migrating, without porting the phone number to them, essentially. So that's what I'm looking into doing now, which seems kind of crazy because again, I'm paying RingCentral, and it's not cheap. I mean, it's like, I forget, maybe it's $40 a month per extension. The other annoying thing with RingCentral is I have to actually, it appears to me I have to pay for an extension of RingCentral just to handle my auto attendant system the way that I want, because, you know, you can have like the phone ring in and be handled a certain way, like always ring a certain extension, or, you know, forward to an outside number or whatever. But you can't do the fancy things with like business hours and like multi layers of like call handling without using an extension. So I have to have all calls coming into the main number forward to an extension that no one actually uses, so that then, you know, the calls can be handled shared with the other two extensions, which is me and Tim. So it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my experience with RingCentral too, Joe. I have to carry like a non-shared internal number, and that number has to be in place for me to take advantage of what you're saying, the extensions on the call forwarding.
Now, how do you use that though as a one person operation? Like how do you handle calls other than just like have it ring to you? I guess what are your other options? Like how do you handle calls in general?
If I'm not using Smith AI to handle my calls and I'm just exclusively using my service, most of the time I have them ring through, but then after hours it goes to, you know, press 1 for you know, billing or sales or whatever, press 2 for tech support, and they just both go to different answering machine locations.
Gotcha.
They just both go to you. Press 1 for Jerry, 2 for Jerry.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like when we get your invitations and it's from sales. I'm like, can you please follow up with Jerry and let him know that time doesn't work for me? Sales. Yeah, no, it is interesting though. Speaking of Smith AI, on your recommendation, Jerry, I signed up for Smith AI finally after talking to their, I think, CEO like 5 years ago or whatever on the show. And so that's how I'm handling calls now during business hours. But I'm noticing that clients are actually just, you know how like you call a company and they're like, please listen carefully because these options have changed. I'm like, I made a vow to myself, you know, 20 years ago, like I'm never going to have a phone system where I say that. Like I can never foresee that ever being necessary. But clients call my phone and it doesn't say what it used to say, which is, you know, press 2 for Judy, press 3 for Joe, press 4 for Tim. It just it rings both me and Tim now. And then, you know, for 4 rings. And if we're expecting a call back, we just grab the call. It's nice and easy for the client, right? And then if we don't answer, then it's supposed to forward to Smith, and then they answer, and then they can try to reach us or take a message or schedule a call or whatever the case may be. But clients are just pressing the numbers. They're not listening to the machine, you know, to the outgoing voicemail anymore. They just press the number that they've been doing every time they call, you know, for the last whatever number of years. So they're bypassing Smith because now they're just going directly to whatever extension they press, which is again not the way we want to actually handle this. So you know, I still don't think I'm going to have an announcement like, please listen carefully, because people don't listen carefully. They've tuned that out. You know, anytime a thing says, please listen carefully, I'm doing the opposite and I'm just pressing 000 until I get somebody, you know,
representative, agent, representative.
Right. Are you doing that to keep your Smith costs down? Because I think it would be much more effective for them to get a live person right away.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Well, so keep my Smith costs down. Possibly, I don't know what they're going to be overall, but you know, it seems to me that would be a way to limit the cost a little bit. And also, if I'm on the phone, like I have a lot of calls where I'm on the phone with somebody, and I'm like, okay, great, you know, call me back when, you know, Sonoma finishes reinstalling, and we'll see if we need to troubleshoot further or whatever. You know, and it's like or it's just like quick, you know, they're gonna, oh, can I call you right back? Sure. And then they're going to get an answering service, you know, and then it's fine. They could ask for me and Smith can relay the call, but I just find it would be much easier if the phone just rings myself on RingCentral for a, you know, again, like whatever it is, 15 seconds or something like that, or 20 seconds, like 4 rings. And then if I don't answer, go to the answering service. So maybe it's overcomplicated, but it just seemed like it's supposed to be, this is exactly what RingCentral does. Like this is supposed to work. And again, you can't stop clients from, you know, following old habits. I also had a lot of trouble with RingCentral's like just programming of how you set that stuff up. It's not as straightforward. There's a lot of little gotchas and things like, oh, did you go to this other screen and change the setting for direct calls to not, you know, press like to not play an announcement where the Smith has to press 1 to answer the call, basically. that was the gotcha for me last week. So anyway, it's just been a few little layers to getting that all working, but they've been good so far on the few calls the clients have gone through to them to answer. We're slow right now. So
hey, summertime.
How much of a referral fee do I get? That's what
I think you get $100 a month, actually.
No.
I mean, that's what it says for me. If I refer anybody, it's like they get $100 off their first month, and then you get $100 per month.
Get out of town.
I'll be honest with you. When that billing comes through, Joe, because I'm paying currently $80 a month, and that was from other referral fees that had come in the past, and that's been going on for quite a while now.
Oh, so you should be paying $0 now. You're gonna
pay him $20 a month to use it.
Exactly. Yeah, I hope so.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
So if I get Smith AI, who should I use as my referral?
You could use Joe.
Oh, look at
that. I could, the money.
I could use the money. Yeah, Jerry's already in the, yeah. So, so I've talked about this in the show in the past, where there's some little things that clients still sometimes call us for, where it's like, in theory, it should be able to be an alert that we can alert them to, or that, they should just see on screen, frankly. But I'm thinking of watchman monitoring, right? If there's back in the day of HFS Plus, if there's a failing drive or bad file system, file system corruption, we'll get the alert that the smart test is failing, or we'll get the alert that there's IO errors, right? They don't see that, but it's like, it actually is a big issue. And you'd think, shouldn't the OS alert them to this kind of thing? Well, here's an example that the OS does alert them, and they may still miss it. So they're, recharging a mouse, right? When the mouse, batteries run low, they sometimes miss the prompt, and then the mouse dies and whatever. I'm not saying I want to get that alert every time somebody's mouse batteries run low. But I've thought about that in the past. Like, wouldn't it be fun to have that kind of, opportunity?
So much fun.
Yeah, super fun. But so maybe that's not a bad example, but actually there's software that does that very thing, that will tell you that your mouse battery is running low. Like Apple already does it, but people miss Notification Center. They tune that out too. So Clean My Mac does this. I saw this on a client machine where it says time to juice up. It pops up a thing, time to juice up. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty clever, that they bother to tell the person. It's a little convenience thing. That's nice. But that means also in Sonoma, they get a prompt about that the app wants to use Bluetooth. So now they're probably going to get more confused about, why does Clean My Mac want Bluetooth? Or it's just more noise, basically, like, that they shouldn't have to see these prompts about Bluetooth and start to tune these out too, right? But that's the side effect of that. I just thought that was interesting that they're doing that. And, also the side effect is that they need to actually agree to let Clean My Mac access Bluetooth to be able to see the status of the mouse. The wireless mouse. Yeah.
And that's MacPaw, right? Clean My Mac?
Yes, I think so. Yep.
Jerry, are you still using that? Because I know you were big on it for a while.
All the time.
Okay.
Nice.
Every day.
Every day. Does it tell you to juice up every day?
I haven't seen that message. To juice up.
If
you're an alcoholic. Yeah, if you're an alcoholic, it's a mixed message, though. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You got to be careful with the wording of that sometimes, I had a bigger topic for you guys that we could maybe discuss now that Apple Intelligence just launched. Jerry, have you seen that yet on your Sequoia and iOS 18 device?
Yeah, I just put it on this morning.
Nice. So one of the features I thought was really appealing for that, but this goes back to something I'd noted like months ago to talk to you guys about. And this question doesn't apply to Jerry, but have you guys ever gone off the grid for a while? I know, Jerry, you don't really go off the grid when you're traveling. You're still right there, right on, answering the client calls, texting with us, like on top of which OSs are coming out. But
if I'm on a rooftop in Spain, Joe, you bet I can be reached. I'm good.
I know. I just never. What about you, Sam? I mean, you go for hikes and stuff. Like when you go off grid, do you ever, come back to like a pile of notifications?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I was just thinking, I think Jerry posted this years ago about with the Al Franken with the satellite on him.
Exactly. That was me. Yeah.
That cracked me up. So it just made me laugh thinking about it right now. But yeah, that's definitely happened to me where I've gone off grid but it's not for extended periods like you. Like you'll be gone for multiple days at a time, right? Like I'm usually like maybe a day, and then I come back. I'm like, holy crap! There's a ton of stuff that comes back at me.
No,
Is this
totally. Yeah.
something that Apple Intelligence is going to help us handle?
Well, I hope so. I mean, so the problem here is like you come back after your phone has been like in airplane mode, or I'm on a hike and I'm just out of service or whatever, and you just get a pile of notifications. And the notifications, these are some of the ones I made note of, right? So it's Yelp telling you that people like the fries at the local hamburger joint, which is like back in your hometown and you're traveling anyway. It's like, well, that's pointless, right? Someone in a group chat sent 4 crying laughing emojis. These are the ones Siri will read this to you sometimes, right? So I'm like, don't need to know that either. There's a new influencer video on YouTube from this person you follow. I'm like, great, I don't care about any of this so far. Yeah, exactly. Jerry posted a new video. Here's one. It's going to rain soon at your location as of yesterday at 9:22 a.m. I mean, I love those, right? It's like, it's there on my Mac too, like rain stopping soon. And I sit down at my Mac and it's like, from 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
Like what, like just deal with that, Apple. I don't need to see that, This is all pointless stuff. There's a new episode of Real Time with Bill Maher. Okay. So and by the way, at the very end, there's a fraud alert from your bank.
Oh,
it's like, oh, okay. Like I need to deal with that one actually, and your sister's flight changed and your mom called you 3 times, or it's like, this kind of thing. So someone out there, Apple Intelligence, I hope can help us with this. So my thinking was like, Apple wants to help us combat phone addiction, right? Like they want you to not be tied to your phone all the time. They help you measure screen time and, maybe kind of like put some guardrails on that. Maybe they should recommend a digital detox once a week. I mean, this could be part of the mindfulness app or things like that. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to go off the grid, if Apple's going to recommend, I hope they do, some kind of digital detox, like every Sunday, is a no phone day or whatever it is, they need to help with digital re-entry also. Like they need to do something about helping you like come back from that and feel like, you don't have a whole pile of crap to deal with. So I'm wondering from you, Jerry, maybe you can update us after you've spent some time with it, but notification summary is a feature of Apple Intelligence where I guess, hopefully they're not going to say, all these group chats have a bunch of people making, stupid jokes. Like just, okay, I'll get to that later, but show me the stuff that I really need to see, like Jerry sharing a cat video or something like that. Really important stuff. Also group, so group, there's notification summary and there's group chat summarization. So those are the 2 that I thought would be really interesting that might help with this. But my feature request is digital detox and digital reentry. So I hope maybe Apple can listen to the show and help us with that as well.
That's actually, I kind of like what you're saying there with the digital reentry specifically. I think detox, that can definitely play a role. They try and do it a little bit with like showing your average screen time, but they don't get into it much more than that. I will say that from my side, I tend to be a type of person that disables notifications on almost every one of the apps that I install. So I don't see like the Yelp French fry reviews and all that stuff. And I actually despise group chats. So I try and stay out of them as much as possible. Yeah. So I don't get as much on the reentry side, but it could be incredibly helpful. I mean, it's Apple Intelligence. It's not my brain trying to think this through. I'm just trying to consider what it would consider important versus, a crying emoji not being important and little things like that it could consolidate for you in a proper fashion without potentially ignoring something that could be critical to your life.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, I'll just quick counterpoint on the Yelp thing. So yeah, I hate notifications too. And I almost always turn them off. Actually, another side point, I think I mentioned this on a show, but I had a client where I'm walking them through a Microsoft Authenticator setup and they're like, and I'm like, and enable notifications. And they said, no, I don't want to do that. And I said, well, I really wish you would, because, they're not going to like spam you. Like this is important for you to get the alert that you need to authenticate, or maybe that someone's trying to break into your account, So, okay, let's think about this carefully. Similar thing with Yelp, not that close to it, but like, let's say you order food from Yelp It's like, I want to actually see the notification that, they got the order or whatever the case may be. But then Yelp just abuses the privilege. They just start sending you this crap about like, oh, people are talking about the French fries at whatever. And I'm like, I don't care if anyone's, I don't care. Like, so it's, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. They're not supposed to advertise through Notification Center, but Apple does it. So,
That's an interesting point too. I mean, like, shouldn't you have like, just like with marketing emails, shouldn't you have different check boxes where you can be like, I want my order notifications, but not marketing notifications?
Good point. Well, there's the time sensitive ones versus the others, so I think I could maybe adjust Yelp now, because I think it's a relatively new feature. Maybe that's why I got some of those. But yeah, it's a fair point. It's not an easy thing to solve necessarily. But Jerry, what about you? Do you ever, how do you deal with, you seem to be on the ball, like I was saying. So maybe you don't get
I'm
these.
so on the ball.
Well, no, really. I mean, I think like, you're pretty quick on responses with things. Like maybe, see, that's the other way to handle this, is that you just don't let, you don't let things sit, because it becomes just this thing to deal with,
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge becomes that there's all these disparate apps that are involved here. So, I have clients, and you guys probably have them too, where they're saying like, how do I, why does the screen keep on opening? Let's say for NordVPN or something like that. And, it's like you have to go into a different number of places in settings to see if you could disable this screen from automatically popping up. So I think, maybe Apple can deliver a little bit more granularity and control over the apps that they directly have control over. But I think once you open it up to these other companies, it's going to be really hard to wrangle all these notifications. So it will be challenging. I don't think AI is going to deliver on the goods on, being able to, let's say you get a notification and you say, thumbs up if this is really important, or thumbs down. So it kind of learns as it goes along. I mean, that would be really great. Like the French fries, thumbs down. Yeah. How we
or
doing?
better yet, yeah, exactly. Because you don't want to have to add a new thing to rate every single notification, but like maybe signals that you already use. Like if I just dismiss it, from the lock screen, if I don't actually go into it or something, but that's not always an indicator.
Yeah,
either.
It would be great if it could learn, but I don't think it's going to be able to learn.
Yeah, could be tough. Well, that's my topic for Apple there.
Add it to Joe's wish list of things.
Wish list, exactly.
Digital detox. With the release of this AI feature that they put out on the phone, it's mostly the writing that they've let go today. Yeah. So, there's a little bit of ChatGPT embedded, and it's supposedly everywhere on the OS. So no matter what app you're in, you could invoke this ChatGPT to either just do spell correct or rewrite the text for you. So that's all we're
debating on. I'm debating on installing that. I have a little road trip coming up, and I'm thinking, I've got a few days before I leave. It would be fun to have this new software, and it might be useful, but I don't know. I'm always, as a little bit more conservative on when I install the, the beta, let alone version 0, the public release. But what about you, Sam? You're not rocking those betas yet, are you?
No, but I actually, on my phone, I mean, I know I always bust Jerry's chops about this, but on my phone, I'm a bit more open to it and getting, I haven't done it yet, but I probably will soon, because what is it going to hurt me in that respect? On my computer, I'm obviously more skittish, because if something happens to my daily driver, then I do have a couple of test computers for that, but
Yeah, I'm conservative a little bit more on the computer, so I'm doing the public release of this OS on the computer, but I'm doing the beta on the phone, so it could.
Gotcha.
Yeah, developer beta. I don't know, and there hasn't been any major showstoppers with any of it. All my technologies work.
So. Nice.
Yeah,
that's a shame. I would like something juicy coming out of this. Like, my phone broke, but nothing cool is happening. Your Apple Intelligence, by the way, started before you got on or got back or got on the show. Actually, Joe, Jerry and I, he was testing a little bit of Apple Intelligence, and when he was saying stuff to his Siri, it was coming through my speaker and activating my HomePod on my end.
Oh, he was talking to Siri on his end, and it was activating yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I hope
I
the hearing
started.
gets way better. Yeah.
I ordered French fries for Sam on Yelp.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jerry, you could probably order a Tesla for Sam on his HomePod.
Probably
Nice.
so.
You
Please,
know?
I'd like red. That'd be nice.
Nice. There you go. So what do you guys have? You guys got any big topics to get into? I have just a little bit of follow-up and stuff.
I got, well, one thing, not terribly big of a topic, but important to me is we started putting out because we've talked about this over time, but we started putting out our actual pricing emails have now started to go out. And we're sending them in shifts.
Wow.
And we're 3 for 3 right now. All 3 people.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, like I expected one of those to not say yes. Like one of them came back to us and said, wait, so our monthly is going to be this? And I was like, oh, that's not a good sign. And we're like, yes. And I'm like, okay, where do I sign? I was like, what? I was like, that's
Great.
awesome. So,
Good for you.
yeah, so I think we've worded it and crafted the phrasing to appropriately say we're putting out new tools and we're trying to best, solve your security needs and all of those pieces that are the buzzwords that are working. And they're all, I mean, again, it's only 3 clients. We're sending them out in small batches so that we can handle any replies. But 3 for 3, I'm pretty excited about. It's a small number, but still, it's money in the pocket.
Well done.
And how
Well
much
done.
of an increase would you say percentage-wise?
Or do you want to share that on Patreon? That's the other possibility.
Well, I mean, he could tell us the percentage right now.
Okay.
If I knew it, yes, I could. But I will get the percentage of what we've raised so far for those, and I will share it. And if Patreon's the next show, that's where I'll do it. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. We not to get too far off on a tangent, but I've joked about this on a previous show. Like at Aces, I had mentioned in my presentation, shield yourself from the financials, when I really meant shield myself from billing with customers. And it feels like I am shielding myself from the financials because I don't even have the basic answer to Jerry's question. But I'll come up with it. I'll come up with some numbers so that we can.
Well, Joe and I will help you out with this. Sam, tell it what it was before, and
that's right.
and we'll be able to come up with the percentage. We're pretty good. Or
just forward the email. Just forward the email right to us
on the Siri.
We'll have her
figure it out for us.
She'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, and then then you can decide how many Teslas to order for Sam, Jerry.
Oh yeah. Plenty of Teslas for me, of course.
So actually, Sam, the other question is, would you be willing to share some of that wording maybe on a Patreon episode?
Share
for clients. I think people have responded very positively to some of the stuff we've shared on Patreon about, how we respond to a difficult client, request or issue or whatever it is, or, these billing emails. Like I've shared some of mine as well. So yeah, I'm just curious if you'd be willing to share some of that.
I think I'd be open to that. I mean, it can get critiqued too, but what the heck? Why not? If it's working, like if I didn't get any replies yet, I'd be like, wait, let me see what happens. But since I've gotten somewhat positive feedback so far, I'd be open to share it. It's not too it's not too verbose.
Yeah. It's frustrating to try to introduce new services. I had a handful of clients that are using Ubiquity. I don't have pages like you guys, like you big boys, but I've got some, and some of them, could add security cameras. So I shared with both of you guys a AI generated. I thought it was pretty good. ChatGPT, blah blah blah, as Joe would say.
Yeah,
that's going to be, by the way, on our new bingo card. When you drink up, anytime Joe says, if I say it doesn't carry, you don't drink. But if Joe says blah blah blah, that's going to be the new one.
Only if Joe says it?
Yeah.
What's my buzzword or phrase?
I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, good.
Anyway, so security. So I've deployed some Ubiquity cameras. I know you have, Sam, in your home, but I think I've got 5 going now. So I've got a pretty good handle on what's out there and what their capabilities are. And so these were residential people. Actually, one was a business, strip mall kind of place, pet food store place, and they're paying money with Ring every month. And we said, look, you've got this built in. All we need to do is install it. You buy the cameras, and they got a great iOS app. And, not one person got back to me on that email that I shared with you guys. And then most recently, I shared another email. I shared it with Joe to try to get Joe to take my bait and sign up for my Dropsuite mail backup service. So Dropsuite is a cloud service for backing up your mail, whether it's on Google Workspace or in Microsoft Office 365. And, some people that don't have that in place that should, and nobody gets back to me. I mean, I'm just dying to add some services for these folks. And I can't shake the tree. So it cuts both ways, I guess. It's great to have a nicely crafted email where you don't feel like you're hustling the client, but at the same time,
that's frustrating.
Crocodile tears. Yeah. If they don't get back to you.
Do you have any speculation on, why it's not working? I mean, is it like
could be my aftershave, could be halitosis, I need to floss more. I have no idea, Joe. If I knew that, I wouldn't be crying my crocodile tears on the show.
Yeah, it's tough. I feel like there's occasionally it's like a question of timing. I go through phases like that too, where it's like, I'm not hearing back from anybody. I don't know what's going on. It might be, if they know that it's a mass emailing, they know they can just ignore it, not mass emailing, but like if it's a kind of generic sounding like recommendation, if it's not targeted enough, maybe they would respond more if you're saying, I think this would be good for you because of, you're dealing with, lots of contracts coming in from, your designers, and it's like something that speaks to their business or something. Maybe this is just me spitballing, but
no, that's great.
And also like following up with a phone call. I have 2 clients right now who just ignore every single email, and it doesn't matter if it's like, hey, I'm trying to support your staff and I need you to fix this admin account that I think you probably turned off when you were poking around the interface. And I can't help this person with this request until blah, 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 followed with a phone call.
Blah, blah, blah. Take a drink, folks.
Darn it. Okay.
I told you, Sam.
Wait,
it's
when do I drink though? When do I get to drink? All right. So
that's funny.
So, when
you drink when Jerry says hooray for me. This is not hooray for me.
There you go. This is not a hooray for me story. That's right. That's Jerry's thing. Well, and also, by the way, as an aside, Jerry, can you stop deleting every single instance of the word like from the podcast? Because
we're kidding.
No,
no, come on.
We do an hour and a half show, and if I delete the likes, we're down to 60 minutes. So it's that bad.
Context, though.
Yeah. All right. Let's open the kimono right here. I mean, the reason why is because, and I'm using software to do this. On average, on an hour-long recording, we use the like word roughly 700 to 800 times. And I do it myself, but there's other bigger offenders on the show. I'm not going to mention who. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but we've had instances where a guest will say, it seems
all
like
right,
an issue with your, and then I was about to say it. And then it sounds, it's like, I can't not do it. Okay. New topic, changing gears, back to the yada 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 blah blah blah.
I love it.
Like. So people that you email who just are like, I can't.
Let it go, Joe.
I'm noticing.
I'll fix it in post, Joe.
Please don't. It's how I speak, apparently. Okay. So sometimes you have to call them and you send them an email and then they just ignore everything. And when I call, they appreciate it. They say, thanks so much for following up with the phone call, and to the point where now I'll send them an email and then just make the phone call. I don't wait for the lack of response because they just respond to the phone only. They're just totally inundated with email. And then they'll say, okay, can you send me that email again? And then I'll get back to you and this and that. And I don't know if they will, if that always works because it was buried the first time. I don't know if it's going to pop to the top now and you're going to get right on it. But I think it could be more effective in these kinds of situations to, tailor it to the client and then follow up with a personal phone call. Just wanted to make sure you got my email. It's a sincere recommendation. You want them to know that this is not just that you're trying to find, how many clients will say yes just for no apparent reason, and I'm just going to send this to everybody versus, no, I'm really sending this to you because this is a service I highly recommend you put in place and we can help you with it. And we've got time right now. It's, and they might respond more to that saying, oh yeah, this applies to me and he's willing to do it right now. And this could be easy for me. He'll make it easy.
Yeah, it is a busy time of year for a lot of folks. And, one particular client in particular, it is a busy time for them. The other thing I was thinking was, we use the,
Sorry.
it's okay. That's good.
Right.
Because we use Tidbit's content to send out a monthly newsletter. And I'm almost thinking of overriding the company month and the regular choice of Tidbit's content that I'll put in, and maybe diluting some of the, not diluting, but parsing down a little bit more direct thing about adding backup services for your email or adding security cameras for your home, and just putting them right in the newsletter. And I think I am going to do that for the month of the upcoming month. So I'll be sure to share that feedback. But your suggestions, Joe, to personalize it more and to get away from the fact that it is a bulk email. I know that as a small business owner, when I was in another industry, I would dread these phone calls, from people trying to follow up on an email. So
yeah. Well, we get them too from just generic vendors, and I mean, we've all seen it, and they follow up with, making sure you sent my email, or you saw my email. If you're not interested, just let me know, reply back. And I mean, they try everything to get some kind of response. They will also call. So I'm not saying that a call is guaranteed to work either, but when you call, they know who you are, when a generic vendor calls, they obviously, it's just more noise, and it can be annoying to us, but yeah, I think they may just be looking at it as like a bulk mail to multiple people. And I've actually found, I don't know how you did this, Sam, with your, targeted emails about your rate increase or your plan changes and things. But just sending them as a normal email, as opposed to using MailChimp or whatever it is, I'm sure you just used an email, right?
Yeah, that was actually a question back for Jerry, because yes, we did. And that's why the grouping is so small at first. We did individual emails to the point person at the company, and maybe threw in a personal comment in there too, just to make it more how you doing sort of thing. I don't know, just something to make it a little bit more personal.
Right. I'll say things like, I hope you're enjoying the summer so far. If I know anything about them, I might mention it. But yeah, and I just think, coming from the mail app or whatever app you use, but coming from your email as an actual sent email, as opposed to coming from MailChimp on behalf of, or, because they can just tell the difference, and the mail clients can tell the difference too. So it might actually be filtered out into quote unquote clutter or whatever other, fancy features they have.
Yeah, if they were using a company like SaneBox would maybe put that into the newsletters filter. Right. And they're actually not seeing it. It's not hitting their inbox as a top priority. And Apple Mail, of course, with the Sequoia, once that comes out, will do the same if you request it to. So, but all good suggestions. And I think in terms of, Sam might have struck a chord with the verbiage where he's like hitting home runs, and that's great.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any magical, recipe, phraseology. I mean, as long as it's well constructed, and now we have tools to help us do that. And like you said, Joe, to make it to identify as it's coming from you and it's not chat GPT generated, AI generated.
That too.
So I think we all kind of know that, deep down.
Yeah. Right.
So that's great, Sam. We'll want to hear progress over time and how this. Yeah. But the percentage would be relevant. I don't mean to keep on stepping on you.
No, well, I just thought of it as we were talking, because it's actually a little bit striking. So I have one example, if you guys want to hear it, that I can throw out on the public show.
Yeah, let's wind it up.
Yeah. So there was this one customer that we have been supporting for years, and especially once COVID hit and all this other stuff, we never changed their rates for years. And we also weren't offering anything really new. They were just kind of floating. We were just charging, and it wasn't good. It wasn't healthy either. So they were on our radar to raise this, but in order to raise them, we had to add a whole bunch of services that we would pay out of pocket for. So it shot up their monthly considerably. and it shot theirs in particular up by 60%.
Wow.
And they bit. They were like, we know what we have to do. Makes sense. I don't know. Maybe I was having a good day. I made sense to them, and they were like, and in their industry, they need security. It's like, senior living and stuff like that. Different senior living than one that I always talk about. But and so they went with it, and I was actually very shocked. I was nervous as hell because I was like, how is this even going to work? 60%? They're going to shoot me. And it was surprisingly met with, okay. I guess because it's not their money, they're like, yeah, we just got to tell it to the board, and that's fine. We'll do it. It's like, and it's a lot less scary than I thought.
And I'm not saying you do that. You did this in the beginning, Sam, but that's a real strong case for don't dilute your network stack, whatever it is. So, like people say, well, what if I don't need the backup? It's like, well, no, we're going to, I don't know if that's your.
No, I agree.
Yeah. And say, oh, okay, we can pull out, $7 a month or whatever the number is. And then all of a sudden you've got all these rates all over the place for this deal that you cut with client C and client A is different.
I couldn't agree with you more. That's super important to just, because then you start whittling away everywhere and be like, all right, a few bucks here, and then
cutting corners and
peeling important services away. Silly.
Right. Which isn't saving you money or time. It's costing you time, because then you have to manage, different stacks of services for different clients and remember like who has what. And, turns out you opted out of like whatever. So you're not protected against this. Sorry. Like, I really wish you were, but you opted out. It's like, well, why did you let me opt out? If you thought so highly of it. And so, to Jerry's point, just don't dilute it. Just keep it as it, at least with the base level. Like, we add certain relevant things on top if it's relevant, like network monitoring or, whatever it is. So, but that's a really good tip, is just don't water it down. It's kind of like the topic we talked about on a recent Patreon episode about clients who want to negotiate, and tell you what's fair, and kind of, this isn't like the times of what was it, Priceline, or now I think is it Progressive that's running this campaign where they're like, tell us how much you want to pay for car insurance, and we'll, no, we don't work this way. Like, tell us what you want to pay for technology support, and we'll do our best, it's like, well, sorry, I hope your data wasn't important to you, because you only wanted to pay me, 20% of my normal rate. I mean, that just doesn't apply in our business most of the time. So, so I have another topic that's timely. This is a little woo-woo, but like, do you guys know about Mercury retrograde? I'm sure you've heard this buzzword over the years, right? So people mention this sometimes, and a lot of times I roll my eyes, and a lot of times, there's something to a lot of this stuff, and it's a lot of people will assert a lot of things about this woo-woo stuff and tell you like, that, this is what happens and this is why, and it's like, okay, this is all just very speculative. Let's just be clear. But if you see a correlation and a pattern, okay, I can get along with that. So somebody mentioned it recently. Oh, it's Mercury retrograde again, and I actually realized there's a correlation lately, because I was complaining to you guys and I was kind of venting to people nearby about how I've been having a lot of communication issues with clients, not technically, but just like verbally, talking to them on the phone and providing guidance, where it seems that I've noticed this pattern just lately. Like, it seems to be affecting a lot of people. Now, maybe it has nothing to do with Mercury, the planet, or whatever. Maybe it's what Jerry said. People are busy. It's the summer. It's hot. I don't know. People are going away and they're thinking their brain is still on vacation or already on vacation or whatever. Maybe it's lots of normal explanations, but maybe it's Mercury retrograde. So here's some examples. And I'm not poking at any particular client here. It's happening across the board, not only with clients, with vendors. So this is a public show. This is not meant to like publicly shame any clients. This is just generic stuff that happens to all of us. So here's some examples. I will tell a client, all right, I'm going to walk you through power cycling the printer. First, turn it off using the button on the printer. Okay, is it off? All right, next we're going to unplug from power and we're going to wait a full 2 minutes. All right, as an aside, you guys have done this about a million times in your life, right? Like, these are standard, turn it off, unplug it for 2 minutes. We've talked about it recently about, as Jerry says, the phantom, power inside the unit, capacitors need to drain, whatever the reasoning is. This is actually what often works with a printer. So back to my little speech. So unplug it from power and wait 2 full minutes. And then all of a sudden I hear the printer and I say, it sounds like it's turning back on. Can you confirm that you unplugged it? Yeah. And then I plugged it back in and turned it back on. That's what they say to me. I'm like, okay, all right, let's do this again, So it's like, what I thought I was being very clear, like almost too clear. And they just thought they could just kind of wing it a little bit,
Borderline insulting if you're that clear sometimes.
Right. When they literally were not listening or just ignored whatever I said. And then, okay, here's another example. When you're ready, we're going to start with the Mac on the desk, fresh out of the box. I'm going to have you, turn it on, and we'll get started with the setup process together. We have a certain process that we follow to ensure the best outcome. Sometimes I'll even say that part because I'm explaining why is it so complicated? I have to you have to tell me to select English, No, it's not so much that, but it's the process, right? So I say that, and then they say, okay, I can see the desktop. It looks like somewhere in Napa Valley. I'm like, no, first of all, that's Sonoma, but also this like, we had a plan here, that's fine. All right, let's figure out, what did you sign into iCloud? I didn't want you to do that. Did you set up, it's, you know what I mean? It just throws you off the whole game at that point. Like, what did you do that I'm not aware of? I see data here. Did you already have somebody set this up? So here's another last example. I'll walk you through a safe boot. So first, let's shut it down. Now start it up, and you can immediately press and hold the shift button on the keyboard, and let me know when you get to the login window. And I'm waiting. Maybe we're making a little small talk, or I'm just kind of waiting. Okay, do you see it still starting up? And they say, okay, I'm logged in. I can see my files and everything. And I say, I logged in. Okay, well, I needed to know if the safe boot was successful. Like, did it say safe boot in the top right? They didn't see that. So then I'll say, all right, that's okay. We can see if it's a safe boot. I'm going to have you go to system information and see if it shows safe boot there. And then I hear the restart, and they've just restarted again, and they're going through it again. So basically it's like a situation of timing where they're not following the steps in order of what I'm. So have you guys been noticing this as we record, it's the end of July? Is there anything to this Mercury retrograde situation, or is it just, I don't know, summer vacation?
Your client wasn't Joe Biden, was it?
No. A few weeks ago, no, it wasn't.
Let's check it.
Good point. Yeah,
that was good.
Good guess.
I mean, I don't think I've seen anything bigger than normal in terms of confusion. And I'm in class this week. I haven't seen anything too crazy, but I will say that we have a developer that we used to work with that would not work if Mercury was in retrograde.
Wow.
She wouldn't take on any new jobs, and she'd be like, oh, no, Mercury's in retrograde. I'll come back to you when I'm ready. And I'm like, oh, so you don't want the work? I don't understand.
Yeah. It would be fun to do a study on that, where without knowing can people tell? I don't know. I just think of ways of testing this correlation that everybody seems to see. Because like I said, this is how it manifests in technology consulting for me. It seems to be, it actually has been affecting communication and kind of being in a frustrating way, because it just drags these calls out. It should be a 5-minute process, and then we're trying it again, Anyway, yeah. What about you, Jerry? Have you noticed anything besides politician level stuff?
Not any more than normal. I mean, I see this and I go through this. I can't think of a frustrating time in the last couple of weeks, but clearly, they don't listen, and it's mostly older clients, or they think that they're being a hot shot and they're saving you money or saving themselves money by second guessing you and not wanting to. It's not that they don't want to follow your procedure, but they figure, I know where we're headed with this. I would probably do the same thing,
I would too. I actually noticed myself doing it today with just a bank about an HSA question and whatever. And I jumped ahead a little bit, but then it turned out it was the right step, but because I feel like I have a little bit more of an educated guess about a lot of this stuff. But
right. When we're dealing with those folks that are talking to us, we're usually like, oh, I'm there. Oh, I'm already there. I'm there. Right. Kind of I know.
Yeah. In the chat, I'm like, okay, done. Okay,
Yeah.
done. Okay, you know, and
Yeah.
they must be like, whoa.
Who are you?
Yeah, that's right. I got one last little bit of follow up. This deep fake question of audio. You know, you can fake somebody's voice. Speaking of AI again, and what to do? Like, how do you protect against? You know, you get this scam call from someone, or it's really more that your family member might get a scam call that sounds like it's your voice and it's from you and you need help and you're in jail or whatever the scam is, you know, and they need to send money and it sounds just like you and that kind of thing. So what do you do? Well, this just came up with an executive at Ferrari. Maybe we can link this in the show notes, but a scammer was impersonating the CEO of Ferrari and saying, so the article says that the voice impersonating the CEO was very convincing, a spot on imitation of this person's Italian accent. The deepfaker began explaining that he was calling from a different mobile phone number because he needed to discuss something confidential. So maybe that's a little bit of cover. A deal that could, you know, face some scrutiny and blah, blah, blah. Required an unspecified currency hedge transaction, blah, blah, blah. So the executive was shocked and started to have suspicions. So that's the first thing is, you know, listen to those suspicions. And he began to pick up on some slight sort of mechanical intonations that sounded, you know, like a little different. So even though the voice sounded right, maybe the pacing was a little off, something like that. Because remember, this is live. So actually, maybe the person is typing in quickly and it's converting to a voice, or maybe you can do this. You know, in the movies, it used to be that they'd have a voice changer thing they'd hold up to the phone, right? Like in Die Hard or I don't know, that era of movie. And it would change the voice that's going through, but only, you know, using certain like tonal shifts or whatever, not actually impersonating someone else's voice entirely. But maybe we're at the point where you can just speak into your phone and it live, you know, does voice to text and text back to voice. Like, why not?
Yeah.
That's probably very possible. So the executive said, sorry, Benedetto, but I need to identify you. He posed a question. What was the title of the book that you had just recommended to me a few days earlier? So context knowledge that only this person would really know. And the call ended abruptly at that point. So clearly that was confirmation. But, you know, I mean, that could have gone a lot worse if that person, that executive, was tired or didn't have that like kind of regular, you know, relationship, even on a personal level, talking about stuff outside of that on a voice line, not through email. Because if you talk about something through email, maybe the scammer has access to the email too. So yeah, what do you guys think about all that?
Sketchy and worrisome, but also at the same time, like the scammer immediately didn't even just try and go forward after they were like, oh, this person knows what to do. They're just like, instead of just trying to wrangle their way out of it, oh, I forgot or something, they're just like, this is done. I'm not going to waste my time and just move forward. So that was pretty cool. And I have heard stuff like that, like find with your family members, especially maybe some elderly family members, find like a key phrase or something that you can ask as a safe word, you know, to know that they're actually talking to you.
Yeah.
And put like, you know, I don't know, put that up on a board on their home or something.
That's true. I mean, that's certainly better than nothing. It's just, it's not a perfect solution because, you know, maybe you can make an educated guess or you can still talk your way around it, you know, because a lot of these things have urgency and like, you know, safety concerns or whatever the scam uses to actually leverage, you know, this, again, sense of urgency. And so maybe you guess close enough or you make a guess that, you know, like under the circumstances, they might think, well, maybe he's just under stress and he's forgetting the safe word and it's close enough or something.
Yeah, it sounded like the Ferrari that was a longer play though, you know, like arranging the call and doing the setup first, where like you bringing up as an example, these just in time kind of thing help, you know, I'm in prison and I need our phrase among the three of us will be blah, blah, blah. Okay. So if
that's how you know it's me.
Yeah. Or me, I'll remember like if, you know, Joe, what's the phrase that we have? And Sam, remember that, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Or hooray for me. I like hooray for me better.
Hooray for me. Yeah, we need one for Sam now. We don't have a Sam code word.
Yeah, I'm glad you don't have one for me. That's good. I'm throwing you guys off. Change it up.
I can't because I'm teaching or I'm in a class. That's Sam's.
All right, that's actually pretty good.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Curse you, Jerry.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Well,
Yeah.
I guess that's probably it for this episode of Command Control Power. Anybody got anything else to wrap up here?
I'm good. Always good seeing your friendly faces. And Jerry, you look like a pirate out in the water with that skull and crossbones hat.
Yeah, I'm just looking at myself. If you watch the YouTube, folks, boy, I'm looking old. So,
oh, stop.
I also want to know how to do a screensaver where I can make those waves lap in the background. I would like that little motion. Do we know how to do that?
I forget if StreamYard does that. Zoom does that, right, Sam? The background can be animated.
Yeah, I think so. I never use them though, but
they have some. I don't know if you can add your own anime. I'm sure, somebody's making it. Well, Jerry, you tried that app that does a lot of that stuff. I'm sure Camo could do that for you, right? Or one of those.
Yeah, Camo's not really in sync with Sequoia right now. I was noticing a lot of latency, so I've gone back to my M2 camera for these broadcasts.
Gee, I wonder if it could be the beta that you're running.
By the way, Joe, before we let our folks go here, if you go to YouTube, hit the like button. We understand that's a good thing. We don't know, but there's a bell there.
I heard you're supposed to smash the like button. That's what
smash the like. Yeah,
that's what the kids tell me.
And you'll
Sorry,
know.
what was the name of the button there? I think the audio cut out for some reason.
It's gonna say in the recording, hit the button.
Hit the button. Yeah. Aha.
And,
that's awesome.
And the other thing that the kids say is,
Jerry just lets her go.
When the episode drops. You'll know when it drops. We're dropping episodes here, folks. So go there, subscribe, hit the like button, and where else can they find us, Joe? On the internet.
Well, Patreon actually now has the concept of drops as well. So it just means that it goes live at a certain time for everybody and they can all listen and watch at the same time. So that's their concept of drop. Like and YouTube calls it like a premiere, I think. So it's a way of just, building an audience for a new piece of content essentially. But yeah, when the episode drops is also just how we used to say when it goes live, it gets posted. Also reviews would be helpful. I understand, according to other podcasts. So you can go to commandcontrolpower.com/review and leave us a review. I'm going to just make sure that link is live, note to self, because I put it up a while back. But yeah, that should work. So commandcontrolpower.com/review. And you can review us on that one. Takes you to Apple Podcasts. If you have a different podcast app, please review us there, or just give us a few stars, even 1 star. No, that's probably not a good thing.
No.
And we have had the review that says that we say everything is cool, so you don't have to cover that if you do a review, because we already got that.
Yeah, we're aware.
we're covered in the cool department.
Yeah, we know that we say everything's cool, and and Sam's teaching, and Jerry says it's not a hooray for me story, and I say blah blah blah. So
gotta change our theme song now.
And apparently I say like instead of said. So. The person was like, I learned that in the 90s. I can't unlearn that now. Like, that's just the way we talk now.
The word like is highly leveraged on this podcast, and thanks to post-processing, you don't hear much of it.
Yeah, even when you should hear the word like, you don't. That's the only downside.
Well, this is the thing. When we come in and somebody's going to come in here and say like, boy, you guys have a huge body of work. We're going to come in and scoop you guys up and offer you millions to have us on our international network. They're going to listen to the quality of the broadcast and they'll know,
I think they're just going to say, but you have to add the word like back in everywhere it's missing. And then we're going to say no deal. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening to another episode of Command Control Power. You can find us at commandcontrolpower.com. Please like and subscribe everywhere you're able to do that. Also review us. We really appreciate it. And consider following us and supporting us on Patreon as well. commandcontrolpower.com and click on support to go to Patreon. We have a lot more content there. So if you miss us on those off weeks when we're airing the best of shows, just go to Patreon and you can hear all the latest content. Thanks very much. Have a great rest of the summer or fall or whatever time of year it is now.